It's been my custom to do a beginning of month greeting video and exhortation. And my last one, if you were keeping track, was in November. I didn't do one in December, and there's a very good reason why. Um, uh, the end of November, I caught COVID, and if you've had it, you know that, and you've had obviously maybe family members around you that have had it. It treats different people differently, and I was hoping that it would be just something quick that I could just get over and get going and get back to work and get back to my ministry. And unfortunately, in my case, it was not that easy. It turned into a very serious pneumonia, uh, 2 weeks in the hospital. And as you can see, I'm still using a bit of supplemental oxygen right now to keep my saturation levels up as my lungs heal. The virus really did some damage to my lungs. And so we're hopeful and prayerful that the Lord is going to restore me so that I can continue to sing and play harmonica for His glory and do these other things that we do. My wife also had the COVID, and thankfully she recovered. My son had it. One of my sons had it, and he's well. So our family is fine. I attribute my recovery up to now to the many prayers. So many folks were praying for me and praying for our family. I thank you for those prayers. Um, I am told that it was a very serious situation, that there were some very tough moments in ICU. And I attribute my being here just completely to God's mercy, to His uh, Him causing a miracle, really, that I survived, and and also the way that He uses science. He uses these dear, dedicated healthcare workers, doctors and nurses that are overworked and overtired and just caring for people when they don't have anything left to give and they're just out there. So um, obviously, I'm so grateful for the staff at Hinsdale Hospital here in Illinois, in the United States. Wonderful people, wonderful staff, wonderful nurses, um, and the doctors and support staff. Um, but God uses all of it because He's God. He inspires the genius of science and the genius of remedies and to help us through these viruses and help us through these sicknesses. So be careful to see Him in those contexts. Also, we see God in all of it. And so, as I was realizing, when you face your mortality, there's nothing like facing your mortality to give you a reset, to for you to consider carefully your life. And there were some moments there that I felt like it was pretty pretty serious, and I had a lot of conversations with the Lord. And so much of it I'm still unpacking. So I don't want to use this video for that. I want to use this video as a launch into 2022 with a blessing and some exhortation. And I wanted to say that the one takeaway that I have immediately that was true was that the Lord revealed to me some resentments and bitternesses that I still had in my heart from people that had harmed me in the past. And maybe you can relate. You've got people that have harmed you in the past, and you hold on to these things. And in my case, I can honestly say that it was so tucked away, so hidden, that I didn't realize just how insidious it was and hidden, and he demonstrated it to me and showed me that I was still holding on to some things. I immediately repented. I've gotten in touch with some of these people. I've begun the process of seeking restoration and forgiveness. Um, but with all of the hundreds of maybe thousands now of worship services that I've led for English and Spanish congregations over the years, all of the songs and all of uh, the training that I've had, I truly can say to you, my dear friend, that I'd feel like I didn't know the first thing about worship until you face what is essentially the end, and until you face exactly the brevity of truly the brevity of life, and honestly, I was uh, realizing, and I realize now that there are impediments to worship, and they can be well hidden. And so, I guess I want to exhort you to seek those things out. Don't wait until you're on an ICU bed, being told that maybe there's no other remedy for you. Don't wait till that moment. Seek the Lord now while you can, and maybe there's a chance for you to. I'm one of his more stubborn children, so perhaps that was the path I needed to take, and I'm okay with that. It's not wouldn't be the first time he's taken me there, but I think, my dear friend, if we could use 2022 to do a couple of things, I think it would be a better year for the church. It would be a better year for the world if we could just seek to love God first. Love God. This is my first exhortation, to love God. What does that mean? In so many of our countries, we know that there's lockdown still. We read about the government is not letting people get together. Um, I'm not here to make commentary about any of that, just to say that as soon as you can, as soon as you can, and as soon as you're able, go back to your church building where there are other believers. There's something about worshiping alongside other believers in the same space. We're grateful for online stuff. We're grateful that at my home church, Emmanuel Bible, I'm so grateful that we can have, and I'm grateful now because I'm stuck at home. I can't go to the building because of my situation with my health. So I'm grateful for the cameras and grateful for being able to participate remotely. But oh, I would so rather be there. Oh, I'd so rather be there. And if you need 2 masks or 3 or whatever you need to do to make yourself feel safe, do that and go and worship with the other believers. There's something about it, and we love God and we exhort other people when they see us worshiping, they worship, and that it just is a way to love. The second point is to love. Look for opportunities to love your neighbor, especially people that have harmed you. Now, there are people that have harmed us that are just out to harm you, and they're toxic, and whatever phrase you want to give them, and it's not safe for you to be in their vicinity. I get all of that. I'm not saying go put yourself in an unsafe situation. What I'm saying, though, is much of the resentments we hold on to our nickel and dime stuff. Let it go. Let it go. It just isn't worth it. Seek opportunities to love your neighbor. Seek opportunities to love that coworker. That person at work that's maybe a little hard to deal with, a little hard to work with. I get it. We all have these situations. Seek ways that you can make restitution, reconciliation with those with whom you've had a falling out. Seek ways. Make it right. At the end, none of it matters. All that matters is that you have this leftover from, it's like leftover. It's like oh, we didn't get this done, you know, and I didn't get this thing worked out. That's the way I felt. I felt like there was some relationships that I just didn't finish well with. And so I've had a chance to reach out to some folks and begin that process. And I'm so grateful for that. Um, and it has opened up my worship, my personal worship time. The third exhortation, there's four. There's two exhortations is love. The first one, love God. Second, love your neighbor. Look for ways to love them. Three, pray without ceasing. If you're not a praying person, if you're not a person that prays, seek ways to pray. Look for ways and times. Set aside times. We all have our little, phone with the calendar. We can put these appointments in for various things. Why don't you put a 3-minute appointment in for some time with God and do it? Keep these appointments. There's private prayer, which is wonderful, but then there's corporate prayer. We have a group that meets. We've been on Zoom for the last 2 years, but we were meeting in person before COVID. Pray for the needs of the church. It's absolutely key, absolutely needed. Corporate prayer is needed, but that private prayer, that closet prayer, that time with the Lord, and pray without ceasing. I remember my grandma would, you'd come up to her and she'd be working, she'd doing stuff, making soup or whatever. It always seemed like she was making soup. And you'd come close and you'd listen, and something's going on in there. And she'd be whispering. You don't realize that years later, I realized that she was praying. The entire time, she's praying all day. Praying for this worry, praying for that worry, for this son, for that wayward son or wayward daughter, whatever it was that she was praying for. Mostly me. Um, Pray without ceasing. So that when somebody asks you to pray at a prayer meeting, for example, you're just simply giving voice to the prayer that's already going on inside of you. What about that? That's a place I'd like to be, where you're praying constantly. Now, I've had moments like that. Most recently, of course, in the hospital, in ICU, praying and worshiping the Lord ceaselessly, saying, "Lord, if this is it, this is it, and I'm ready to go." But I'm not ready to go. I have things that I want to do yet for you, and so praying without ceasing. Uh, Seek ways to do that. Look for that chance to be in communication with Him. Finally, my dear friend, for 2022, I just got done reading through the Bible again in a year, and it just seems like such a daunting task. I remember the first time that I did it years ago, looking at a list, and there's so many tools we have now with our smartphones, and we have any number of ways to do this now with apps and Bible apps, and find the one that works for you. Find the plan that works for you. Um, and do it, and realize that the year gets busy. You're going to fall behind a couple of weeks, maybe. You're going to fall behind. It's going to happen. It's okay. Fall behind. It's all right. You make it up later. The Lord's not going to punish you. This is blessing. This is something you get to do, not something that you have to do. And so the reading the Bible in a year, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And so you take a little bite every day, and it's a wonderful opportunity to be in the Word. Something that I do additional to reading the Word is I don't remember often. Like, I'll read something and I don't remember it a lot. That's something that's been with me since I was a young man. And so I like to write things down. I like to do lots of writing. And so I love 3x5 cards. So this is an example of what I did this morning. So you see that it's I'm coming to you on the 31st of 2021. And that was the verse. And the first entry is always going to be my life verse. I've had several life verses over the years, but the one that I've had for the last several years has been the Psalm 16:2. I said to Yahweh, "You are my Lord. I have nothing good besides you." And I write that every day. I love writing His name. I love that verse. It brings me to a place of adoration and worship. And so I would invite you, my dear friend, to go ahead, go ahead and write things down. I like to keep this in my pocket, in my front pocket. And when I get stuck in a stressful situation at work, or in line at a store, or something happens, or I get frustrated, I whip it out. I think, well, I got right here my weapon. We know that the Word of God is described in Ephesians as a sword, isn't it? And so we get to have our concealed carry right here, our weapons right here, these verses that God gave me today. These are gifts from Him. And from here, it inspires other art that we do, the worship of the verse art and other things. Sometimes reading the Word inspires a song. And so I'll write a new song based on something I read that day. Most recently, Psalm 146 really impacted me. And so I got a chance to sit with it for a while with the piano and just kind of tinker around and see if maybe there was a song that came out of it. And so, my dear friend, um, Happy New Year. Happy 2021. There may be more difficult days ahead for me and for you. This is earth. It's fallen. The Lord is in the process of reconciling it, redeeming it to Himself. Eventually, things will be perfect when He returns. We don't know when that is, but who knows? It could be any moment. But right now, things are not perfect. We still have COVID. We still have sickness. We still have cancer. We still have so many other things that can harm us. Trust in the Lord. Trust in Him. Things might get more difficult. And run from anybody that tells you that if you are not prospering and healthy, and that you are in some way uh, uh, not in God's will. Sometimes it's God's will that we wind up in ICU. Sometimes. That's a hard word, but it's true. My dear friend, get opportunities, look for opportunities to take these 4 suggestions this year, and I trust me, your life will be in a very, very different place 1 year from today if you love God, uh, and look for opportunities to love Him. If you look for opportunities to love your neighbor, if you look for opportunities to pray ceaselessly, pray constantly, be in prayer, and if you look for opportunities to read His Word, especially going through the Word, the entire Word in a year, it's a wonderful practice. It's a wonderful opportunity. Many gifts are available for you. It's like mining diamonds in there. So I would ask for continued prayer for me as I recover from this situation. I know that I know that He's bringing something wonderful about in my life. I trust that He is going to make that known sooner than later. And I'm also just overwhelmed with gratitude for what He's done so far in my life. We are hoping to launch some new music in February. We are hoping to continue with our verse art. So interact with our content. I would ask a favor. Here's a favor. I'm asking you for a favor now. If you are on Spotify, head on over to Spotify and follow me as an artist. It makes a big difference. When we launch the music in February, take a moment to listen to the new song. Even maybe it's in Spanish and you don't speak Spanish. Uh, Help us. We want to spike the algorithm, and there's other reasons why, but it helps us to get the word out of Jesus's love for his people. And so I would ask that of you. Would you head on over to Spotify and follow me as an artist there? We appreciate it very much. God bless you. May he cause his face to shine upon you. May he bring you much peace, much joy in these days. And we pray that 2022 would be filled with blessings upon blessings for you, and a way through in what in the difficulties that are also ahead. And so, thank you for watching. God bless you, and we certainly hope to talk to you soon.